Take a minute to pause the video and read the question, and then continue with the video. It says, your aunt plans to give you $2,000 starting today at the beginning of every year for the next 10 years. If you invest each of her yearly gifts at 8% interest rate, how much will they be worth at the end of the 10-year period? So let's go through our series of questions. It's a question asking for a sum of money now or a sum of money in the future. So what is the question? The question says, how much will they, as in these payments, will be worth at the end of the 10-year period. So they want to know what it will be worth in a future period of time. So it's going to be future. So we're going to calculate future value. Next, the question says, is the amount involved a lump sum or an annuity? Are we looking at getting $2,000 payments or multiple $2,000 payments? Your aunt plans to give you $2,000 starting today every year for the next 10 years. So it is an annuity. And every time it's an annuity, we have to determine, is this an ordinary annuity or an annuity due? Ordinary annuity means payments are made at the end of every year. An annuity due means beginning of every year. So what type of example is this? It says beginning of every year, so it's an annuity due. Now let's look at the principal amount, interest rates, and number of periods. Again, just like before, this example doesn't really have a principal amount, but it does have a payment. So let's call this payment amount. We know that the payment, or how much your aunt will pay you, is $2,000. So that's $2,000. How about the interest rate? Interest rate is going to be 8%, and this is going to be an annual interest rate, and we're looking at periods is every year. We're not looking at interest being compounded quarterly or semi-annually. So we can go with the 8% interest rate, and then the number of periods is going to be 10 years. Now let's calculate the future value of how much all these payments will be worth. So we take future value and we say, we start off with equal and FV for future value, open parentheses, and then it tells you the order you need to type that information in. So first rate, and the rate is 8%, comma, and per is number of periods, which is 10 years. The payment is $2,000. We're receiving $2,000 payments. The present value is 0. We're not talking about present value. We don't need any of that information. And then, of course, we need to identify the type. We're going to put in a 0 if these payments are done at the end of the period, a 1 if it's done at the beginning of the period. We know that this is an annuity due, which means the payments are at the beginning of the period. So we're going to put a 1 in here. Then we close parentheses and then hit enter to calculate the amount. That gives you your answer. So if we receive $2,000 starting today at the beginning of every year for the next 10 years and we invest it at 8% interest rate, that amount will be worth $31,290.97 at the end of the 10-year period. That's it for this video.